welcome to the Eternal Connection Show on Blog Talk Radio. My name is Daniel Feint, and I will be the host for the next, 12 to 15 minutes segment of this show. Today we are going to be talking about creating your reality. I feel that it's a fitting topic for the new year, seeing as it's January 2nd, 2016. So we're going to be looking at some different ways of viewing the idea that how much control and how much ability that us as humans have to create our reality. Now, the first thing I want to start off with is that there's different aspects of things. There's a unified aspect, and then there's a divided aspect. So that's pretty much up to your perception of how you view the world. But basically, it's been said that there's God's business, and there's other people's business, and there's my business. So you can sort of see those three different angles. God's business is to keep the solar system spinning, to keep the sun and the earth in a symbiotic relationship, and the moon and the trees growing and the life force. That life force is within us, though, and we can tap into that source and use that source of a life force to create the reality that we want to have for this year and into the future. So we're going to be discussing things like that. Let's see. Okay, what I want you to do now is to decide whether to lift your left hand into the air or your right hand into the air. Do you have a choice to do this? Are you creating an action? Are you interacting with the world that you're living in? Now, this is a basic example, but I feel that it's key. We interact with the world, yes, but we choose how our reality will be, and that is only on the level of action. There's also thoughts and words that we can take into consideration. Now, when I use the term God, personally, my belief is God is love. That's biblical from 1st or 2nd John in the Bible. But so you could say love or God or universe or source. I don't, whatever feels comfortable for you. But biblically, John 1:1 says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." So this makes us think, at least myself, how powerful words actually are. And almost to the idea of prophesying, the idea of speaking your reality into form. How much do we affirm the words that we say and has an effect? You could think of the idea of a negative attitude or a positive attitude, and how much that would affect a person's perspective in the world or perception of what's going on. So basically, then we're going to go to Genesis right now, and in Genesis 1:3, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Genesis 1:26, then God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness." So basically, if we put the two and two together, well, I don't know if that's a math problem, but anyway, God spoke into the ethers or the void or whatever and said, "Let there be light," and there was light. It was sort of like he brought that into form. Now, it's my belief, with hope and faith and a knowing from living life and an understanding, that he said, "Let us make mankind in our image and in our likeness." So that means the attributes of God are in us, which we could speak things into form, so to speak. Let's see. Now, there was an interesting story that I heard about a man who was told, "You're not insecure, you just think you are." Now, this gets into the idea from me that the way we think about things is constantly changing. Our thoughts and feelings are changing throughout the day. What we add to our thoughts, we have a certain amount of control with the thoughts we entertain, and we can get a momentum going in a negative experience of life or a positive experience of life, or we can just sit in a neutral stance and sit like a bump on the log, so to speak. Now, something I want to mention about interacting with the world around us, if you really think about it, now, if you're a scientist type of thinking mind, you could get into the idea of subatomic microscopes. It's proven through that view that everything boils down to energy. So where do your skin cells end and the air around you begin? It's all this matrix or intertwined molecular subatomic form that's all unified throughout the entire universe. And let's see. So the subatomic microscope view of the unified energy field is, it's almost like you could say, okay, sure, but I'm looking at things objectively and not subjectively. But if something is in a box, like say for example Christmas just passed, and you had something in a box, a present, whatever, yet you can't see what's inside of it, does that mean that there's nothing inside of it and it's just a box? There's actually something within this. There's something within us that's more than what we see. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. Let's see. Another thing that may be helpful with interacting with others is something that I thought about over the past few days. There's certain people in my life that I've been looking at them in a way that I want to see them, but in a way that I want to see them. Yet who they truly are may or may not be, and most likely isn't anything like I want to see them or how I see them. So it's interesting. Do we all have a bubble reality that we're interacting in our own dimensional ways of choosing how we want each individual's life to be? The things that I do throughout my day, wherever I go, there I am. Same applies to you and all the people in the world. So that's just something interesting. And speaking of people in the world, I kind of am starting to make quote images. So I just want to share a few with these, with the ideas of what they are saying. So first we're going to go to Henry Ford quote, which you probably heard before, but whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Now this is sort of a binary type of thing, but it's very key in our perception of creating our reality. I mean, this is pretty solid. Do you think that you can do something? Do you think that you can't? Either way, you're right. So, I don't know. That's just something I wanted to share. And let's see. Another one by Michael Neal is, if you feel like you're choosing between the lesser of two evils, don't. There was always a higher choice. Now, all these quotes that I'm saying so far have to do with the idea of choosing what we entertain. It's like a menu that we can choose from, except I see it as an infinite menu. And there's, say for example, in the menu, there's two options on the menu so far that we've seen that are the lesser of two evils. One of them is like something we don't want, and something we don't even want even more. But there's always a higher choice. We could also see on the same menu that there's something that we do want to bring into form in our life, and something that we want even more than that. That would be a wow in our life, as Michael Neal says. So let's go to Mike Dooley, who's a firm teacher of what we our thoughts become reality, so choose good ones. That's one of his catchphrases. This quote by Mike Dooley is, pretending is the fastest way to believing, and believing is the fastest way to receiving. So, biblically, we could say that, Jesus taught to have the heart of a child, and we all, growing up, used to have a wonderful imagination and pretend to do this and pretend to do that, and it's sort of make-believe. If you, I don't know, this is maybe a sensitive subject for me, but, and because, we get into a world then where people have sort of lost the magic. It's sort of, there's a lot of kids' cartoons and stuff like that about holding on to your imagination and believing in yourself and believing in good things. If you're in a world where people are sort of miserable and depressed and think that things are just the way they are and that we don't have any power. But anyway, let's see. And believing is the fastest way of receiving is the end of that quote. Yeah. As we believe, so we shall receive is biblical as well. So that's something that I wanted to add. Okay, here's one from A Course in Miracles, which is nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So to have the peace of mind and peace in this world, to be relaxed and be able to do things with ease and the path of least resistance and create things in a successful way, but not having to trudge through life and feel like everything is hard work. That's real, and it can't be threatened. What is true as I see it, and nothing unreal exists. This gets also into the idea of illusions and of what we feel is real, but it's basically just thoughts of the ego rather than the soul. Now this is getting into the unified soul of all things, which is unified love, divine love, or the ego, which is based on fear and all the other attributes that basically aren't real in a world where it's all good. Let's see. And one that I posted on Facebook today is, the final one I'll share is from Sydney Banks. If the only thing people learned was not to be afraid of their experience, that alone would change the world. So on a collective consciousness, collective experience of the whole world, what would it be like if everybody wasn't afraid of their experience? They weren't afraid of other people. They weren't afraid of other people's beliefs or opinions or the way they choose to do things. Everybody just sort of cooperated and got along, and that alone would change the world. So let's see. I think that's basically it. I think I said a mouthful, and I hope it was helpful for you. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you have a great time creating your reality in 2016 and beyond. So take care and have a wonderful day.